I chose this work with the hope that it could touch the hearts of the audience. Lee Min-ho. When beauty is no longer the centerpiece. At the age of 37, Lee Min-ho is still strikingly handsome. But for him, that no longer seems to be the priority. At the recent press conference for Omniscient Reader, The Prophecy, one of the most anticipated fantasy films of 2025, Lee Min-ho appeared calm, composed, his eyes deep with thought and his smile subtle. His beauty no longer screams for attention as it once did in his 20s, but instead exudes the aura of a man who has weathered emotional turbulence. This essence mirrors the film itself, a fallen world where seemingly ordinary people become pillars of hope, a matured self emerging in the face of devastation. Lee Min-ho didn't choose this role to flaunt his star power or stunning visuals. He chose it to tell a story, a quiet but resonant narrative about loneliness, community, and resilience in an era of existential anxiety. The depths demanded by Hallyu, a brave artistic choice. Lee Min-ho was once the epitome of early Hallyu fame, with Boys Over Flowers, 2009, catapulting him into Asia-wide superstardom. But more than a decade later, audience expectations have evolved. The fierce competition of streaming platforms, the rise of young talented actors, and the demand for multi-layered narratives mean that seasoned stars must evolve, or fade. Omniscient Reader, The Prophecy isn't just another film for Lee Min-ho, it's a personal milestone. His character, Yoo Young-hyuk, is a battle-hardened warrior with the power to resurrect after death, a metaphor for the Hallyu stars themselves, constantly forced to rise again, to persist, no matter the emotional scars or pressure of fame. In recent years, I've become more interested in stories with social messages, Lee Min-ho shared at the press conference. As society grows increasingly isolated and individualized, I believe cinema can serve as a bridge, a reminder of empathy and human connection. This statement not only reflects his artistic maturity but also hints at the inner struggles of an actor in his late 30s. When the spotlight alone is no longer fulfilling, what remains to keep you going? Fantasy as a brutal mirror of reality. Omniscient Reader, The Prophecy is based on a popular Korean web novel of the same name. The story follows Kim Dok-ja, an ordinary office worker and the sole reader of an obscure web novel titled 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse, which has just concluded after a decade of serialization. Suddenly, his real world collapses and transforms into the exact scenario from the novel. Kim Dok-ja, armed with the knowledge of the entire storyline, must now survive the apocalypse alongside Yoo Young-hyuk, the main protagonist of the original narrative. Beneath its survival plot, the story critiques modern society, increasing individualism, emotional disconnection, and the passivity of readers, those who merely observe until they are forced to act. Yoo Young-hyuk, silent, stoic, burdened by an eternal loop of death and rebirth, becomes a symbol of unwavering strength. He's not a perfect hero, but a consistent one, someone people can rely on amidst chaos. With Lee Min-ho playing this role, the symbolism deepens, even the most glamorous icons are seeking to rediscover meaning in a world that grows colder and more uncertain. Visual buzz, but quiet depth takes the spotlight. As expected, the press conference sparked a social media frenzy thanks to Lee Min-ho's visuals. Dressed in a dark suit, his hair neatly styled, his gaze intense, fans rave that Lee Min-ho defies age, and he is the definition of timeless elegance. Yet to praise only his appearance would be to overlook the transformation he's undergone. Among a rising cast of young talents like Han Hyo-seop, playing Kim Dok-ja, Go Yoon-young, and Lee Se-young, Lee Min-ho stood out not by glamour but by gravity, by a quiet confidence that speaks of experience and intentionally. Pop culture expert Professor Lee Jin-woo of Korea University once remarked, for first-generation Hallyu stars to endure, they must reinvent themselves. Lee Min-ho was once criticized for being one-dimensional, but in recent years, he has taken the right path, choosing roles with emotional and social complexity instead of following trends. Conclusion: when cinema becomes an emotional lifeline. In an era where almost everything is replaceable, from idols to content, Lee Min-ho is doing something rare, slowing down, choosing projects that challenge rather than flatter the audience. Omniscient Reader, The Prophecy is not just another post-apocalyptic blockbuster, it is Lee Min-ho's artistic reawakening. Here, He's not merely acting but engaging in a dialogue with viewers, asking a profound question: in a world emotionally falling apart, how do we survive? With this bold transition, Lee Min-ho is no longer just a screen heartthrob, he's becoming a true actor. A storyteller, not just with his expressions but with his thoughtful choices and inner growth. And perhaps, that is the most meaningful gift a star can give to their audience, after all the dazzling light has faded. Lee Min-ho's ironic self-diss, "I'm getting old," yet his visual at film press conference says otherwise. By author name, June 2025. It's not often that a Korean A-list star publicly admits, "I'm getting old." But when Lee Min-ho dropped that unexpected statement at the press conference for his upcoming film Omniscient Reader, The Prophecy, it caught everyone off guard, not because it was profound, but because it was, quite frankly, unbelievable. Because let's be honest, if aging looks like this, the world might just sign up for it in a heartbeat. At 37, Lee Min-ho showed up at the press event in Seoul looking every bit the timeless icon. Dressed in a sharp, tailored black ensemble, his sculpted features, luminous skin, and calm charisma all radiated an ageless energy. Photos from the event flooded social media platforms within hours, sending fans into a frenzy over how unreal he looked. On X, formerly Twitter, the hashtag #LeeMinho_visual king trended globally. So what's with the self-deprecating comment? The star who aged in thought, not in appearance. During the press conference, while discussing his role as the stoic, world-weary Yoo Young-hyuk in Omniscient Reader, The Prophecy, Lee Min-ho shared a personal reflection. "After acting for many years, I've started to think more about social issues. As I grow older, I find myself drawn to stories that deal with solitude, human connection, and resilience. I chose this film because it spoke to something I've been feeling deeply, how society is becoming more isolated, and how we need reminders of unity." It was a mature, introspective statement, evidence of an actor evolving beyond the glitz of early fame. But ironically, it was preceded by a humble "I'm getting old," a phrase that, in his case, became a boomerang. Netizens were quick to fact-check the star with photo evidence, high-definition shots of his flawless skin, his refined but youthful aura, and that unshakable star presence. Memes poured in: "If this is old, then what am I?" Or "Lee Min-ho just ended anti-aging creams." The visual paradox, aging gracefully or not at all? Lee Min-ho's visual transformation over the years is a masterclass in evolution without compromise. He's no longer the cheeky high school boy from Boys Over Flowers, 2009, but what he's become is even more captivating. There's gravitas in his gaze, elegance in his stillness, and a controlled warmth in his interactions. If youth was once his brand, maturity is now his superpower. Critics have often argued that the K-drama industry can be obsessed with physical youth. But Lee Min-ho challenges that narrative by staying relevant without clinging to his past image. His ability to embrace emotional depth and subtle complexity while still commanding attention with his appearance is a rare duality in Korean entertainment. Pop culture analyst Kim Ji-yoon of Seoul Arts Institute noted, "Lee Min-ho's strength lies in his ability to transition. He's no longer just a visual icon, he's positioning himself as an actor of substance." What's fascinating is that his looks have matured with his career path, creating a powerful synergy between aesthetic appeal and narrative relevance. Behind the scenes of a viral visual, insiders at the press conference revealed that Lee Min-ho had minimal makeup on, a touch of base and subtle contouring. The rest was all natural. "He looked even better in person," one journalist commented. "There's a glow to him that cameras can't fully capture." Fans also noted his body language, relaxed, thoughtful, yet confident. He wasn't there to dazzle, and that's exactly why he did. Unlike younger stars who often perform for the flashbulbs, Lee Min-ho seemed fully present, like a man who knows his place in the industry and doesn't need to prove anything. Conclusion: the irony that keeps on giving. Lee Min-ho saying "I'm getting old" might just be the most self-contradictory, and viral, moment of the week. It's rare to see someone so firmly in control of his public image be so unaware, or perfectly aware, of how absurd that statement would sound to the millions still mesmerized by his visuals. But perhaps that's the charm. In a world obsessed with image and perfection, Lee Min-ho's humility, intentional or not, adds layers to his appeal. He's more than just a pretty face, he's an evolving artist, a cultural figure who can make headlines with a single line and crash the internet with a simple smile. So yes, maybe Lee Min-ho feels older. But the rest of us? We're just trying to figure out what skincare line he's secretly using, and how he makes existential musings look so photogenic.